What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and I'm late. That's right. I was supposed to upload this on Sunday, okay, October 12th, but I was at New York Comic Con all weekend. And did I get to do this in advance? No, because life was happening and everything was going on. And I had to prioritize. So we're here, okay? We're still queer. And, get used to me sometimes, being human and falling off even my own schedule. But we're here now with the season 1 finale of The Gilded Age. Let the tournament begin. It was written by Julian Fellows, directed by Michael Engler, and the DP was Vanja Cernjul. Y'all, this journey of rewatching has been so fun. I've been wondering if I would be gagged the way that season 3 just gagged. Like season 3 gagged every episode, like not even gonna hold you. But I had about maybe 15 minutes left of this finale for season 1. And I, okay, the patio door was open, the screen was shut or whatever. And, letting some air come in, it's a crisp fall evening or whatever. And something happened in this episode where I just started yelling obscenities and I had to pause the TV and get up and walk off. Like, I was just like, this is what y'all had to deal with without me when season 1 first came out. That's crazy. I would have loved to have been there with y'all. Like, absolutely insane. So, like most finales, it's a lot going on. And so I broke this up into different parts. Y'all already know, depending on the episode, depending on the structure of certain episodes, especially with the Gilded Age, I've been like breaking them up between either what's going on in the location, what's going on with specific storyline, so everything can be seamless. So we're gonna start everything off right quick though with oh how do I want to break this up? Okay, we're gonna start this off with Marian and Mr. Rakes, but there's we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. But I wanted to open it up with the fact that in this episode, it's opening with Marian talking about her plan and everything, and she's over at Mrs. Chamberlain's house and she's like, ma'am, can we please use your house as the meetup spot? Like, I need to get my stuff here. We're going to meet here. We're going to run off. We're going to elope. We're going to do everything. And the first thing out Mrs. Chamberlain's mouth is, are you sure this is a good idea? Now, soon as this is said, I'm yelling at the TV because I'm like, Marian, everybody in your life, family and friend alike, has been telling you, hey, he's moving a little bit too fast. Something in the milk ain't clean. This is seeming real fishy. Okay, he's saying he's all in, but we see him gallivanting across New York all the time. Sis, are you sure? And Marian is super hell bent on just doing things her way. Again, like I said, you can't tell a 20-something-year-old nothing. You can't tell them shit. And, even Peggy is kind of like roped in a little bit on helping her sneak her bags at the house. And she's like, girl, you my dog. If you think this is right, I got you. But if it ain't, I'm going to be there with you too. And in the midst of all of this and making all of these plans and everything like that, Ada, like I said last episode, she is not as aloof as she presents herself to be. And she's watching Marian like a hawk, and she just knows this girl is about to go do some stupid shit. And Marian, kind of confesses a little bit, and she's just like, I don't want to tell you everything because I want you to be able to have plausible deniability when Agnes finds out and shit hits the fan. Like, I need you to tell the truth when you say, I don't know. So in that, I don't necessarily dislike how Marian is at least trying to protect as many people as she can, but the person who she should be protecting the most is herself, and she's leaving herself wide the fuck open. So much so that y'all remember when the world was trying to tell her, like, hey, he looking like he was getting fresh with Miss Bingham up in this box when we was watching these lights. Lo and behold, we at the opera. Aurora's there with her man. And she hears us giggling. And she's just like, first she's looking over because she's just like, who the fuck ain't got no box office etiquette? And she sees Mr. Rakes whispering sweet nothings in old girl's ear. And, you know, she's blushing, she's giggly, and they are looking quite cozy. Okay. I'm talking Beyonce level Renaissance cozy. Okay. And Aurora's like, all right, I'll let this little girl let me not tell her the real the last time I saw her. But no, I need to pull up my britches. I need to get on me a horse and I need to go talk to my cousin right now because I'm not gonna let this man play up in her face. Like, absolutely not. So Aurora makes her way over that next day when Marian is meeting Mrs. Chamberlain and they sitting over there, they having tea and crumpets and everything like that. And Aurora gets the information from Ada and she's like, girl, where's Marian? Because I got tea. And Ada was like, listen, I don't know everything that's going on, but you can find her over at Mrs. Chamberlain's house. And if Marian tells you what's what, then baby, I hope you as her cousin, as somebody that's closer to her age, can talk her off this ledge because my sister's not thinking straight. So she's sitting there and Aurora is telling her, and she's like, this cannot be true. And Aurora's like, girl, I got two eyes in 2020 vision. It is true, girl. And so Marian's like, well, maybe he, you know, he got into an accident. Maybe he was busy. Maybe he's at the office. And Aurora said, hold on. She said, unless he been killed, he could have sent a warning. I'm like, I know that's right. Unless you are dead in the streets, like one Mr. John Adams. Unless you got run over by a horse in a carriage, what's wrong with you sending a pigeon? Sending a footman, sending something to let me know that you were either going to be late or have the guts to tell me that you wasn't going to come in the first place. So Marian's like kind of in a state of disbelief. And Mrs. Chamberlain and Aurora is just like, sis, what you need? And Marian's like, listen, I'm gonna go over to the office because ain't no fucking way this man is about to play me, not in front of my family, not in front of my friend. And so when she makes it out the house, Aurora, you know, actually thanks Mrs. Chamberlain and just hopes that Mrs. Chamberlain doesn't make what's going on with Marian any type of gossip in society because she's still young. She still has the opportunity to get married one day. And earlier in this episode, even with Marian talking to Mrs. Chamberlain, she tells her, I'm not afraid of scandal. I'm literally a walking scandal, but like, you are safe with me. This is a safe space. And I really hope that holds true as we move on through season 2, because even when Aurora asked Mrs. Chamberlain, like, you know, let's keep this under wraps. You know, they do a close up on Mrs. Chamberlain and she kind of gets this look. And again, facial acting is something that is just so beautifully portrayed when it comes to TV and film acting. Like when you're on stage, which most of these people are stage actors, you have to do everything like very big because the person in the back row, you want them to have the exact same experience as the person in the very front row. But when you have a camera up to you, everything is nuanced, but it still has to portray all of the thoughts and all of the feelings. And so it made me wonder, is Mrs. Chamberlain truly okay with being scandalized and that being her legacy? And you kind of see a little bit of hurt in that, where it's like, why would you even say that or ask that of me? Why would I want someone else to live the life that I'm living right now? And she's always been open with Marian with like, you know, and she told her, I think in the last episode, like, be careful with what you're sacrificing for this man, because once you become the talk of the town in this way, there is nothing that you can do to get back. And I think it's giving like Mrs. Chamberlain is just kind of like, do y'all not see that I actually love this girl? Like, you shouldn't have to ask me to protect her name and to protect her reputation because I've been doing that this entire time. So that's kind of like what I got from that. We're gonna find out in season 2, but I love Mrs. Chamberlain so much. I like her a lot. It is not a secret that me and the villains, I love villains. I love complex people with complex stories. Even if they're villains for no reason, I love them. Um, because it's just fun to kind of play on camera a lot of the emotions that you're able to portray when you're kind of diving into those darker, more complex feelings. And just Mrs. Chamberlain in this moment conveys that in such a way that you know that she loves Marian, but it also makes you question, does she love and truly accept the life that she's been resigned to have? Speaking of resigning, over in Brooklyn, Big BK, Arthur is out of town, and the laundry woman. I need to find another word for like maids, but the laundry woman um found a letter inside of Arthur's pocket. You know, you got to search these clothes so they don't get wet and destroyed. And Dorothy ends up seeing a letter that was written to Arthur 3 weeks ago about Peggy's son, y'all. So of course, Peggy heads to her mama house, and her mama lets her read the letter and tells her tea. And you really get to see how Peggy and Arthur's relationship is just so very delicate, because she couldn't stand him at the start of the season, but then she was able to at least, you know, sit with him, have lunch with him. And now you can see that the path to repairing something that was so fragile and so delicate is now shattered at the truth that he lied and told her that her son was dead. Meanwhile, you sent him out to adoption. You're keeping tabs on him, but you're not telling anybody. And they're packing and they're getting ready to leave when Arthur comes back from a business trip. But he's standing 10 toes down. He's like, listen, I did what I needed to do to protect my daughter's reputation and to protect this little boy. Like, this was going to be something that was super scandalized. And she was like, I don't need you to protect me from my own child, this being that is of me, that is from me. And Arthur's like, well, I don't give a fuck what y'all saying. I'll do it again over and over and over. And Dorothy's like, okay, well, you can keep making that same decision, but I'm going to make this new decision in me, and your only other child, your only living child, is we out. We out and we're done. And it's just, oh my God, because Arthur is trying to make a name for himself. This is a man who was emancipated, who became a well known and wealthy Brooklyn pharmacist by himself, and he's running away from the shame of being a slave by trying to make his family, you know, notable. And he wants to fall into the same societal archetypes as even the white counterparts. And while they live on two completely different sides of the world of New York, he still wants his daughter to be able to assimilate eventually and be seen with the same amount of respect as people like Marian. Does that sound familiar? Yes. And so Arthur again just represents all of the conversations that many Black people have had from generation to generation to generation, of having to be perfect, having to work 3 times as hard as anybody else in order to make it. You know, something I just heard on Sisters Who Kill. If you like true crime podcasts, you need to listen to Sisters Who Kill. They report on Black women specifically, or Black women female, because you know some of the people are underage, who they report on. But it's about the Black women killers in society across, different eras of time. And in their latest episode, they were talking about how even the difference in terminology of single mothers, where white women are referred to as single mothers, but Black women are referred to as baby mamas, something that is there to diminish them and make them seem less desirable to society, versus their white counterparts as like, oh, she's just a single mom working hard and she's a victim of circumstance, even though essentially they're both single mothers, they're both baby mamas. They occupy the same category, but they're referred to as different things. And so with Arthur, this is the type of energy that he's coming with Peggy and her giving birth out of wedlock in that entire situation. He's like, I don't want you to be a baby mama because that's what they're gonna look at you as. And I'm trying to progress us farther so that you can have a future. But Peggy, a mother, she's not listening to that. And that's just a relationship and a type of feeling that Arthur just will never understand. Because if you've ever been pregnant, and that's whether the baby was born, whether the baby was stillborn, or whether you had a miscarriage, if you've ever been pregnant, the way those hormones and the connections come with the being that is growing in your body, the decision that Arthur made, he will never understand why Peggy will hate him for this, because he will never know what that feels like. And so it's just really heartbreaking, that this is how they found out and this is the decision that he made. But again, Arthur's presence in this show represents something bigger than the storylines that he, Dorothy, and Peggy have. And so I just genuinely enjoy when we're in Brooklyn. I enjoy that Arthur is sort of the antagonist in Peggy's life, even though outside looking in, he's a very complicated protagonist in a way, because he has an experience that she does not have. And again, I talked about the motivations behind where they make decisions and how they're basically two sides of the same coins, but they just come from different worlds. Peggy will never understand what it's like to be a slave. And so she will never understand her father's intentions and motivations on him protecting her. And what he sees as protection, she sees as a prison. Okay. And who else sees their mother's protection as a prison? Gladys and Bertha. So we have Bertha getting ready for the tournament, aka the ball or whatever. But Lena is not coming to this ball. So Bertha's like, well, Carrie can't come then. And so Gladys is pissed because she's like, girl, not only is this my bestie, but we've been working on this dance and these routines for the last 7 weeks. And so you're just gonna disregard this just because her mama not gonna come. And they're at the dinner table, and even George is like, okay, so what if none of the other mothers show up? She's like, well, then there gonna be no fucking ball. Then what? So it's like Bertha's like, listen, I'll cancel all of this shit because y'all not gonna be over here disrespecting me, and your daughters is being able to come up into my house, but you still talking shit about me behind my back. I'll end it all. So Carrie confronts her mama about it, right? And she confronts her mom because even in this episode, Bertha went over to Lena's house to even try to advocate for Carrie. She's like, listen, I don't want to not get this girl to come because I like her. She is great, and my daughter has a friend. But Bertha watched Lena accept someone else in her house after just sending her house manager to turn her away. So for Bertha, it's up. It's up. None of you bitches can come into my house. So Carrie knows about this, and she's giving her mama the silent treatment, and she's questioning her mom because she's just like, girl, are you just afraid that Bertha is just as powerful as you? And Lena's like, please, she's the weak one right now in this situation. Like, clearly, I hold all the cards. She's trying to come to me to beg for my presence, not the other way around. And Carrie's like, we'll see who the weak one is at the end of the day, mama. So you can go ahead and leave me to my sewing and my feelings and get the fuck up on out my room. And Lena, for all of the things that she is, being at the top of the food chain and being the door to society, she loves her daughter. And she doesn't want her daughter to be upset. So she's kind of mulling it over. And she goes and talks to McAllister about it. And this was a very interesting conversation that they had. I even had to write down these quotes. So this was after Lena went to Bertha's house. So Lena went on behalf of her daughter. And she was like, girl, it was just a misunderstanding. I promised somebody that I would talk to them, and I just wanted to make time for them. And Bertha was like, you literally turned people away. And Aster was like, it's not people. It was one person. So get it right. And it was kind of like her concession of being like, I'm here on behalf of my daughter. And so Bertha was like, well, are you going to come? She was like, girl, ain't this enough? And she was like, bitch, no, because you embarrassed me. And so, in the spirit of embarrassment, not only are you going to come if you want your daughter to be here, but you're also going to make Agnes and Ada come too. And if you don't, scurry along, girl, because I'm done playing these games. So, Lena's pacing back and forth with McAllister, and she says, if I don't maintain standards, what is the point of me? And McAllister counters and says, if we don't accept them, they will form a society that excludes us. I love this conversation. I love this conversation because when you think about culture, when you think about culture and how a certain group be like, all lives matter, all culture matters. And it's just like, you act like if you don't uphold classism, oppression, socioeconomical status, and all of these other just radical ecosystems, then you won't exist. Like, what is the point of me? Showing up to somebody's house is somehow going to make you disappear and not be a thing anymore in society. And I love that McAllister was just like, well, if you don't, then they're going to exclude us. And he doesn't say that just because he's like, let's be progressive. First off, that motherfucker just want to go to a party. It just is what it is. And Lena clocks it. But it just speaks to also like integration in the way that the rich and the oppressors only want to integrate the people who they feel are less than at the fear of being excluded and at the fear of being on the outside. Because if they're on the outside, then they won't have any means to exploit them because those people will be able to control their own narrative. And it goes back to the writing. And I've been saying it, the writing in this show parallels society of today so much. Like between Arthur and then that conversation inside of that house, and between this particular conversation and these two particular quotes in this episode, yes, like that is it. This right there, the fear of being excluded. And so you infiltrate yourself in the lives and in the spaces of people who you still cannot stand, and you smile in their faces while you utilize their resources and you make them feel good enough to feel as important. But when it comes down to it, they will never be offered a seat at the table at the end of the day. Clock it, Julian. Clock it. And so Mrs. Astor, Lena, does the difficult thing, and she goes to the tournament. She goes to the ball. Agnes is going kicking and screaming. Okay. Marian goes just to keep her mind off of the fact that this relationship was broken off. But let's get back to Marian. Okay, so she confronted this man in his office, and he was in the middle of a Dear Jane letter. Talking about, oh, well, I did love you, and that was true, and all this other stuff. Okay, so on this day, the engagement is over. It's broken off. It is what it is. He's been ousted as a ousted. Is that what I'm looking for? Outed? I don't know. I'm tired. Comic-Con, the Comic-Con blues really is a thing. Like, no, he's been outed. My bad. I mean, ousted from her life though. Yeah, Comic-Con blues is insane. The level of sleepiness is like brain rot for real. So he's been outed and ousted from her life or whatever. So she's like, okay, let me just, put that shit on, go out with my girls, have a good time. This ball is that night. This motherfucker walked in the ball with Miss Bingham on his arm. If it's one thing men will have, especially a broke ass dude, is the audacity. You been knew that you wasn't finna marry Marian. And you let her make these plans to meet up and go elope on the same damn day you knew you was going to this ball with Miss Bingham. Oh my God. Oh my God. The way Aurora and Ada should have went and grabbed the finest knife and fork and filleted that man upon entry. Oh my God. Then he wanted to come up to her there, talking about, oh, I didn't know you would be here. You snaky bitch. You slime ball. You scum. You horse dung. If you don't get out my face, and he had the nerve earlier to be like, can we part as friends? Bitch, no! You are not a friend to me. What do you mean? Oh my God. Please run him over. Run him over. I need my mans to be stuck in the spokes of those wheels underneath the carriage. ASAP. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now I see why Marian was tripping when she found out Larry was at the strip club in season 3, because the last time she heard some stuff about a man, she just wrote it off as him just, being a regular person. It is what it is. He loves me. And now I see why. Now I see why. Because the way I would have pulled a hairpin out my hair and gouged a man's eyes out, get your ass on my face. Get your ass on my face. Like, oh my God. It pissed me off. Y'all. There's that. There's that. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there as far as recap goes, as far as the episode goes, because I'm getting hot all over again. When I tell you I had to pause the TV and walk off, I had to pause the TV and walk off, and there was still like 15 minutes left of this episode. I was like, what is even the point of ending it if we're not ending it with Mr. Rake's death? I have no idea. No idea. What more can you tell me? I didn't even want to watch the rest of the episode. That's how pissed off I was. Like, justice for Marian. Justice, does Mr. Rakes die in season 2? Somebody leave that in the comments. Leave it in the comments. Don't tell me nothing else. Just give me a yes or a no. Does he die? And he probably won't die because Mr. Fame is still alive. You know what? We killing the wrong man. Julian, y'all killing the wrong man. Bring back Charles. Bring back John Adams and kill Charles and kill Mr. Rakes. I'm petitioning. I know I'm behind the curve, but I'm petitioning because they need to be dead. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Anyway, additional thoughts about this episode. Okay. Y'all, not Monsieur Bowden is really Josh Borden from Kansas, y'all. Bertha said, the fuck? You think, she was like, people already can't stand us. You think I'm about to be over here talking about we got a chef from fucking Wichita, Kansas? Hell no, get rid of him. Now, luckily for him, he is really good at his job. Everybody advocates for him. And he did get fired for a little bit. But the new chef got drunk the day of the ball, and so they had to go get Josh to save the day. But I thought it was so funny because he was telling the rest of the house that he's from Kansas, and his wife was threatening to out him because she now found out he was making a whole bunch of money. And they even asked him, why did you divorce her when you was broke? And he was like, I just didn't think we would cross this bridge or whatever. And so she want her coin, the fuck, as she should. But he's still like talking in a French accent. And I think it was Bridget. She was like, well, if you're from Kansas, why are you still talking like that? And he's talking about something. I've been doing it for so long. And Church was like, well, your name is Josh. you should probably try speaking, in an American accent. And again, every time I see everybody who's working for these houses, I'm constantly like, give me the side quest season. I need it. I need it. Especially now that Mr. Church and Bannister are like having some type of truce or some type of mutual respect, at least amongst the houses. And they are just so funny. They love everybody in their house and they protect them fiercely. And they're basically two sides of the same coin. And so again, I need to see him. Should I always be like, I need to start a petition, but I'm too lazy to start a petition. So if somebody can take up a petition, I will gladly sign and promote it and drop the link everywhere. I'll do that, but I'm lazy. I will say I like that the ending of Mr. Rakes and the ending of season 1 really thrust the birth of like Larian in the limelight. I love their friendship. I love the patience. I love the kindness. I love that we get to see them have no expectations of one another. So therefore they're not lying to each other. And the way that they interact is just very pure. They are shoulders to lean on. They're confidants for one another. And I like that they don't even know really what's going on between them at this moment. They're just a safe space and a pleasant feeling to have when nobody else is believing in them or when nobody else understands them. I love that they have each other. And it's just beautiful to see this friendship kind of come about, especially between two people who are of age who could go off and get married. But when people see them together, it's not a big deal, right? And I really like that. It really makes me even more excited and optimistic for their relationship and their wedding in season 4. Going back to the prison versus protection thing, it's very interesting that Bertha is like the symbol of strength, the symbol of tenacity and ambition for all of the young girls. Marian, Carrie, Aurora, Peggy, and to her own daughter, she is a warden. And I kind of like the dichotomy of that because it really makes you think about like when you were a kid and you were growing up and you felt like, your parents are strict, you come from a strict household, you can't do this, and my mama said I can't do that, and you're watching all of your friends be able to have the freedoms that you don't have, and so it makes you want to like the other people and be around their parents and sneak off and be in their presence because they let you get away with everything that you can't get away with inside of your own household. And that's really what I look at as like Bertha and Gladys. Now, obviously, I'm watching this in hindsight, so we know that how Bertha is does pay off, but you really get to see at what cost to the relationship and how it continues to pull at the threads of the relationship between Bertha and George. He's challenging her a lot in these latter half episodes of season 1 that you see culminate to them being separated at the end of season 3. But I still say George has no room to talk because in this episode, the Kuipers end up coming to the tournament, and Bertha genuinely asked, like, how did you even get them to come here? Like, she was shocked that they came because in her mind, as long as Lena is here, all is well. Like, it is what it is. And he was like, oh, I asked them very nicely. But what he did was professionally blackmail this man and his wife into showing up. And it's like, George, what Bertha doesn't put a bounty on her head. But what I'm seeing in you, again, season 1, we're just adding up how many people want George dead or have motive to want him dead. Even Mr. Kuiper was like, what did he say? You're no gentleman at all, or something like that. Like, you are not kind. You can say these nasty things with a smile on your face, but I feel the heat, I feel the bite, I feel the knife in my back as you say these things, as you rope me into something where I cannot leave. And if I jump, I'm hanging myself. But if I stay, I'm slowly killing myself. And so they're basically choosing the lesser of two evils. Do I die slowly or do I kill myself now? And most of them are choosing to take the die slowly route. But when you have time to plot your escape from the person who's manipulating you into something that you don't want to be in, you might can get creative. And so again, who ordered the hit on George? At this point, anybody could have. Anybody could have. And that is the beauty of it all. And I'm so excited to continue to dive into the story as we finish up season 1 and we head into season 2. I will be reporting season 2 not on Sundays. We're going to move them to a different day, likely Mondays, because I have other shows coming out in real time that will be coming out on Sundays. So I need to play around with that. Oh, before I get into the rest, that's going to wrap up the recap and review and my thoughts on The Gilded Age, season 1, episode 9, the finale. Let the tournament begin. Yes. So, as I was saying, Talamasca has 2 episodes premiering on Sunday, October 26th. And Welcome to Derry premieres on October 26th as well. I will be doing recaps and reviews episodically on the channel. So I need to figure out where the Gilded Age season 2 is going to go, especially because I am doing a rewind for that and not something in real time. So maybe I'll put it on Saturdays. Yeah, I might do the Gilded Age season 2 on Saturdays. That way I can be here on Sundays for Talamasca with the episodes dropping immediately after it airs on TV. And Mondays I will leave open for Welcome to Derry so that we can sit for a few hours before we get into one origin story of Mr. Pennywise the Clown. So those are some things coming up as far as like the schedule change goes. I'm still wondering if I'm going to get back into dropping film reviews on Wednesdays. It's up in the air. I'm getting to the end of my MBA program, which means capstone project coming up. I got 2 classes left. It's a lot happening. Getting ready to get into my permanent space. So just a lot of moving pieces. So if I'm not talking about it on here, I'm likely talking about it on TikTok. And so with that, we're going to wrap up the information of this. And again, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast links with them so they can catch me over there on the audio side of things. You can also find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post film and television news and updates. I also post links to my Substack, where I write article reviews on different shows and stuff that I don't talk about on the podcast. And you can also find me on TikTok, where I post short form content reviews of things that I also don't talk about on the podcast. That's at Kivanchi. And you can also use that same handle on Twitter, where I'm talking about everything. But before I wrap up this episode, I do want to know, are y'all interested in me talking about my San Diego Comic-Con experience from this summer and my New York Comic-Con experience from this past weekend? Let me know, because some things happened. My life has been changed a little bit. Some things have been altered. And I've been going back and forth on if I should share it or not. But y'all, let me know if you're interested in that. I don't know how many con people are watching these videos, or who's interested in that side of my life or experiences. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I still want to know if Mr. X dies in season 2. Don't forget to leave that answer in the comment box below. And with that, I'm gonna wrap up this episode, and I will catch y'all in the next one.